Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to Press for Truth TV. Today is Friday, June the 8th, 2012, and today I wanted to touch a little bit upon some of the current solutions that are being called for in regards to the Euro crisis in the Eurozone, where German Chancellor Angela Merkel, along with Britain's Prime Minister David Cameron, are both calling for a more unified Europe to deal with the current crisis going on down there. And I also want to talk a little bit about an economic conference that's coming up very soon next week from June 11th to June 14th, which just so happens to be taking place in Montreal, Canada. But before we get to that, here's an article just recently out that explains how the solutions that are being called for are all about unifying the Eurozone into a united European Union with all countries under the Euro. This just out yesterday. Merkel urges gradual political union in Europe. German Chancellor Angela Merkel has called for Europe to take a gradual path towards political union, frustrating the appeals of many of her colleagues for quick, bold moves to fight the continent's raging financial crisis. After a meeting with British Prime Minister David Cameron, who called for urgent action, Merkel noted Thursday that the debt crisis has built over 10 years of the currency's existence and cannot be fixed overnight. Now, it will also take a few years to get things right again, she said. There are big expectations in financial markets that European leaders will agree on a summit on June 28th, some new measures to fight the crisis. But Merkel waved the notion away, saying that no single meeting would solve the continent's problems. Experts say the Eurozone structure is not sustainable because while 17 countries share the same currency and interest rates, national governments retain control of budget policies. That means that economies are radically different. In times of economic stability, that was not a problem, but as financial turmoil grew, the weaker economies lagged behind the stronger ones. That's why European leaders, including Merkel, agreed they need to work towards a fiscal union in which governments pool their spending decisions and their debt responsibility. The question is how quickly that will be achieved. So they're clearly calling for more Europe, not less Europe, calling for the unifications of all countries within the Eurozone to join in with the failing Euro. And it's maybe puzzling to some people out there why they would call for such a thing, but you have to remember that the elite operate through order out of chaos. When there's enough economic turmoil, often the solution that is called for is more unity, not less. It's interesting that in this article, as you see in this picture I'll put up right now, of Angela Merkel standing in front of the phoenix bird. Of course, the phoenix bird is the fictional bird that rises out of the ashes, and that plays right into their motto of order out of chaos, where out of the ashes of such economic turmoil will arise their solution, which is, unification is the answer to all our problems. And I actually made a video on this about 8 months ago, last year in November. I'll put a link to that in the description, where we outlined that these are going to be some of the things that they're calling for. And lo and behold, here we are halfway through 2012, and we're starting to see them call for some of these solutions in order to deal with the current economic crisis there in the Eurozone. And again, they're not debating whether or not Europe needs to unite under this union. The question that they're debating on is whether it should be done boldly, quickly, or, as Merkel suggests, should it be done in small steps incrementally over time. But as we know and feel, it should not be done at all, because this is all leading towards the larger agenda of a one world cash system. But in order to get something like that, you have to do things incrementally, and that's currently what we're seeing in the Eurozone right now. And it's interesting that this all comes on the heels of the annual Bilderberg conference. We knew going into it that the Euro crisis would be on the agenda, and it's not just Europe that is going to be dealing with some of these new measures, but economies all over the world, which brings us to our next very interesting conference that is coming up very soon, which just so happens to be held in Montreal, Quebec. Here is an article. It is referred to as the 2012 Conference of Montreal, a global economy in transition, new strategies, new partnerships. Alan Greenspan, former chairman of the U.S. Federal Reserve and the governors of the central banks of Portugal, Spain, France, Brazil, Mexico, and Canada, are among the 150 renowned speakers who will be taking part in the 18th Annual Conference of Montreal, organized by the International Economic Forum of the Americas, taking place from June 11th to June 14th, 2012. Gathering at the Hilton Hotel, these speakers, delegates, and stakeholders will exchange views on the theme, a global economy in transition, new strategies, new partnerships, before some 3,000 participants expected during the 4 days of the conference. Now, again, this conference is set to take place from June 11th to June 14th in Montreal, Canada. And of course, Governor of the Bank of Canada, Mark Carney, also former Goldman Sachs man, is going to be in attendance. And let's not forget, he just happened to be at the Bilderberg conference in Chantilly, Virginia, as well, that just ended 5 days ago. So, you know, it's interesting that we begin to see some of the agendas unfolding and manifesting themselves in the world, in other areas of the world, all at the same time, just after the annual Bilderberg conference. So to me, there's some proof there that these guys are some of the ruling elite who are really calling the shots. So anyways, this new economic forum is going to be taking place, I think it's from Monday to Thursday next week. So this weekend I'm going to be working on arranging a way to get myself there. I want to be there for this one. So I'm hoping to get to Montreal for Monday, Tuesday, maybe come back Tuesday night or Wednesday. So after the weekend, hopefully I'll be broadcasting on Monday's show from Montreal to give you an update on that economic forum, which is going to be taking place over 4 days next week. And anyways, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to check out that video that I mentioned earlier. I'll put a link to it in the description. It's called the Eurozone Debt by Design, or the Euro Crisis Debt by Design, I believe it's called. I'll put a link in the description so you can check it out. And again, hopefully by Monday, I'll be coming at you from Montreal, Quebec, to provide coverage of this incredibly important economic forum that's going to be taking place there over 4 days. And other than that, guys, I hope you all have a great weekend, and I'll see you right back here on Monday. Take care.